Joining me now from Lagos via Skype is business consultant and finance manager Vivian Ani. Vivian, good morning. It's good to have you join us right now. What can really be the biggest challenge with the issue of granting loans? Is it the issue of trust, or what is it?
Mike, there are many challenges. One of the very first being that a lot of business people don't know the kind of loans that are available out there and how best to go about finding it. Now, that's the first challenge. The second challenge is that the banks, from experience and from central bank regulation, cannot just lend out money without collateral. And then the third challenge is that even when the bank is willing to lend out money, the very process of trying to get the documentation required for these loans is not easy at all. A lot of business people in Nigeria find it very difficult to run structured businesses. And what do I mean by structured businesses? Audited accounts at the end of the year, every bit of money that they receive from their sales going to the bank. A lot of the smaller ones find it very difficult to meet up with these requirements. So when they go looking for a bank loan, the banks ask these questions which they cannot provide answers to. Now, that's the second challenge. The third challenge is that even after they have gotten the loan, you talked about the difficult operating environment when you were giving an overview about this. It's a very, very difficult operating environment. I'll give you an example. You start off business. You now find you've made some projections that power is going to be an issue and all that. Now, when you actually start the business, you realize that some of the projections you made based on the price of diesel or petrol, you have to throw them through the window because either the prices have changed, or in some cases, especially fuels like diesel, it becomes difficult to get, whether due to poor supply, whether due to the fact that the person who's supplying the diesel to you is not keeping up to his own end of the bargain.
All right,
so
Vivian.
There's so many challenges.
All right, Vivian. There are some microfinance banks that are offering loans without collateral to people. Now, what risks are they taking differently? What are they doing differently that the bigger banks and even government can't do?
Okay, fine. Now, a lot of those microfinance banks are leveraging on cluster groups. And what I mean by cluster groups are groups like cooperatives. Let me just give you a typical example. You have a cooperative of 100 business people. By the time you lend out to one, you're relying not just on his track record and credit worthiness, but you're relying on the fact that peer pressure, meaning if he refuses to pay you, you have someone to report him to. However, if you lend to someone outside a group where there's no this advantage of peer pressure, it means you're dealing with just one individual. And the individual, knowing that you don't have a reference point, you don't have anyone that can call him to order, might be a bit more likely to default. So what the finance banks are doing is that they're leveraging on cluster groups, and at times they get it right and at times they get it disastrously wrong too. So at the end of the day, the banks in Nigeria have to realize that Nigeria is not the typical or an optimal lending environment, and you have to be very creative to get lending right.
All right, Vivian Ani, thank you very much.